Welcome, one and all, to my stream on 9/11. I thought I had a video plan here. But, I'll be starting in just a few minutes. I'm sorry a little behind, but, yeah, I'll be sharing my thoughts and all that about 9/11 18 years later. I'll just play on my tablet. I'll figure something out.
of a nation
I had the coat, I could hug it.
or a soothing
Where
rain,
his son's coat
forever
and
trying to
helmet
wash
are now on display.
Jonathan and my buddies are doing what they
Today,
have to do.
of course, is a day of remembrance.
The birthday
The
and my
9/11
son's
attacks
birthday.
on America.
Difficult.
You're looking at pictures of ceremonies now underway at
9
Ground Zero.
months after the World
15
Trade
years
Center
later,
attacks, the
the wreckage
site
of
had
the
been
Twin Towers
cleared,
has long since been
except for
cleared,
one
and a new
nearly
tower.
60-ton beam, by then covered with the names and photos and jottings of the people who had done the clearing.
It's risen in their
And just as it had, each time human remains were found, activity at Ground Zero stopped when that last column was removed and reverently borne away. But when the 9/11 Memorial Museum opened in 2014, 12 years later, there it was, the building built around it. When you go there, it all comes back. The feeling you had that day if you lived in New York City. A sickness almost.
John was a music and dance king.
You're haunted again by the faces of the lost.
You know, she had just a wonderful zest for life.
All the smiling people whose stories have to be told for them here.
What you're looking at here is called impact steel. This is where 9/11 begins.
On Friday mornings, Greg Carafello is a volunteer docent.
I'm a survivor of two World Trade, so I was here that day, and I owned a business inside the building, two World Trade South Tower.
The owner of a digital printing business in the South Tower, he nearly died on 9/11. His office was destroyed.
These stairs are also known as a pathway to freedom because
And yet here he is, week after week, right where it happened.
What do you get out of it?
I get a freedom from that day.
What do you mean?
There's a certain luggage that you carry since that day. And for me, it's a freedom to speak to the people and to share the experience, but also it's just cathartic. It lets me feel better in sharing my story with them.
He's with another printing company now and could work anywhere. But his office is on the 85th floor of the new One World Trade Center. Greg Carafello is the only Twin Towers businessman willing to take a chance on the site again.
It's an act of pride. Coming back to one of the greatest buildings that I've ever been involved with, as far as looking at the way it's built and the beauty of it, I think it's a salute to what we do in America.
It is 1,776 feet high, counting its spire. And like practically everything else on the 16-acre site, it didn't happen without fights over its design, over its name. One World Trade Center instead of the original Freedom Tower. Over what if, God forbid, there were another attack.
One World Trade Center is built around a concrete core. That core is made of the strongest concrete ever used anywhere on a skyscraper. And so, should anything happen, all of the occupants, as well as all the communication systems, everything you might need, it's all protected inside of the core.
There are ghostly nods to the Twin Towers, but what's new here at what used to be called Ground Zero has been built to be beautiful. The Oculus is a train station and a shopping mall.
When I came in here the first time, it was almost heavenly in a way.
Sunday Morning commissioned photographer Daniel Jones to take these pictures. "15 years after 9/11, the World Trade Center is still a work in progress, with as many as 3 buildings not yet even begun. The cost? $15 billion and counting. Too much or a necessary down payment on healing?
26,000 people worked on this site. They gave it their all. And in the process of giving it their all, of doing back-breaking work, they also were the beneficiaries of the redemption that comes with that. They were after completion, they were after wholeness, and there isn't a single person that did not say they worked on this project on behalf of all those who died.
It is a place to look down and weep. But it is also a place to look up and rejoice.
Yeah, definitely is.
I want to mention that Sunday marks the 15th anniversary of the attacks of September 11th.
Whoa.
People started screaming and running and saying, "Run for your life. Don't look, just run." And so we started to run, and what was happening was the tower was collapsing.
I was actually in the building when the lights went out, and then the building collapsed. You know, I was screaming and praying and saying my prayers. I laid on the floor and I really just waited for the beam to hit me, waited for whatever was going to crush me to crush me.
I opened the staircase door, and my grandma was there, standing in the door of her apartment on the phone, and she started screaming, "She's alive, she's alive, she's here." Because up until that point, everyone thought I was dead.
That was the beginning of my battle that day, which would continue on for many months more. 3 months in the ICU, a few months in a coma, and then 3 more months in a rehab hospital.
A lot of the time, something small will happen or we'll be somewhere and my mom or whoever I'm with will bring up that he used to have a certain quirk, that something we did reminded them of him, or we'll be somewhere that he loved, just so we feel like we could know him better.
You know, a lot of the time teenagers who have been through trauma will act out their trauma, and that's when I started drinking. You know, I ended up in the hospital for alcohol poisoning 4 times before I graduated college.
Like many, many firefighters that did go down to the Trade Center, that dug afterwards, that spent many, many months there, I've come down with some ailments that prevent me from fighting fires. In 2012, the New York City Fire Department retired me with a disability pension.
The last piece of the puzzle was getting sober and, you know, being in recovery. I was finally able to sort of not only put myself back together again, and I started to learn to look for the good in the world instead of the bad, and that's what led me to this career in journalism. I also co-founded a site dedicated to positive stories and inspiring stories about people working to help social issues. It's called Headlines for the Hopeful.
I have a small startup company. When we get situated, I have 1 of 2 locations in mind, perhaps a spot in the new World Trade Center. To my mind, rebuilding on the spot where people try to take so much away from us seems like it might be a good idea.
My firstborn son, unfortunately, right after birth, he had a traumatic brain injury, and he suffers from cerebral palsy, needs constant care. I have 2 other children, typical children, lots of fun, running around, causing mischief, no medical problems whatsoever. I believe that that day God put his hands over me and he protected me. And he said, not today. Today's not your time. He protected me and I survived because it was necessary for me to raise my son Rocco, to share in the joy and the hardship of raising a child with such a damaging disease. He's a perfect soul.
My mom got remarried, and now Nicole and I have 2 other siblings, and we've become really close, and he'd be happy to see that we have.
Yeah. Pretty much the whole story there. Yeah. It sucks that day, but we've rebuilt, unfortunately. And as that quote says on the background, no day shall erase you from the memory of time. It's true. I mean, we still remember 18 years ago what happened that day. I know it's slowly becoming a memory, much like Pearl Harbor and a bunch of other stuff that happened here in the United States, like the attack in Oklahoma ages ago in the 90s. That's another one. Wasn't as bad as 9/11, but still, I mean, footnote in history, you know? But, I mean, more or less, because most of the kids that are around today, some, like we heard, part of, were around at that time, and others that weren't, and they've had parents that perished in there in attacks. But, you know, most of the new kids on the block, so to say, I really don't have any recollection or memory of the, you know, unfortunate day, you know, and the time after. Well, I know it's bad, but you know, we're rebuilt. I mean, the first World Trade Center is up. I know somebody that worked in it, you know, got it up, helped with it. You know, a friend of mine was part of the construction crew on it. I don't know if he was part in the beginning, but I know he worked on it bit by bit. But, what's it called? Went to the museum, as you can tell in the slideshow. It's, you know, pretty sobering, I'd say. Really, really sobering, in my opinion. Because you get to see just not exactly what happened completely, because, yeah. I mean, I'm sure they have videos and such there for it, but yeah, you can't really fully tell the full devastation, but just have an idea now, since you know, you can go to the museum and see, you know, Ground Zero for what it is, you know. But yeah, seeing all those names, it's sobering. Somber place. Recommend you to go if you're a history buff, or even if you want to, you know, make sense of that day. Yeah, or if you have a new or a family member of that somebody that were, you know, in the attacks. Yeah, that's a good place to be. You know, pay your respects. Yeah, it's not a, well, somewhat of a cemetery. I mean, considering many people died on that site, but they couldn't find the bodies, but because they got pulverized, you know, with all the concrete and everything that fell. Yeah. But, I mean, I went to the museum. Fortunately, I didn't take too many pictures. The Samsung S7 kept dying that I had. Battery didn't last for nothing. Even if I had it on battery save mode, it didn't last for much. But, yeah, I might go back down there someday and take more pictures, you know? But it's, yeah, I don't want to go down there alone, maybe, with somebody that isn't in a rush, you know? Or, you know, just down there, just like, really take in that museum and just like, wow, you know? I mean, I was down there for my birthday a few years ago, I think. Yeah, 2 years ago. 2017, but nonetheless, I wanted to be down there, you know? I wanted to go there because everybody remembers what happened at that time. Everybody still somewhat remembers, you know? Yeah, I definitely did. I mean, seeing all of that, I was like, wow. I mean, I didn't have time to really process, but I knew I felt it, you know? I felt that feeling of sadness in me. I'm like, I felt it on that site. Just that overwhelming feeling, you know? I can say it might be haunted, but I doubt it. More or less. Instantaneous death on impact. Wasn't really suffering other than the ones that somewhat were suffering in the buildings before they collapsed. Maybe, I don't know, but I know it's so sad. But yeah, I have yet to see the one in Shanksville, in Pennsylvania, and if there's any way to see it, a memorial at the Pentagon, but I doubt there's a memorial there you can see. But 9/11 Museum is usually the best place to really make sense of that day, you know? But yeah, it was, yeah, eye-opener for me. I mean, I was in middle school at that time. I don't know how old I was, but I was in 7th grade. And when I first heard about it, it's like, wow. Well, I was like, oh, well, I can't go to the, what's it called? See the buildings that I saw on Home Alone, too, you know? I really wanted to at the time, you know? I'm like, wow, they're cool. Get to see the whole New York, you know, from the top of them. And then when that happened, I'm like, oh man. And as I processed it though, I got scared. Because I didn't know what the hell was going on at the time. You know, I was in middle school, probably 14 or 13, I don't remember, but I know I was like scared out of my mind. It was, yeah. I didn't know what was going to go down. You know, the day after, me and my mom lit a candle for them. You know, I definitely, what's it called? Got all sorts of patriotic. Still am. I still have my flags. You know, country now is a far cry from then. It got worse, but it's also safer now than it ever was. Yeah, well, in terms of airliners, you know, in terms of airliners, in terms of, you know, idiots like that, but on the ground it's not much safer. But this is a different story for another day. But not today though. I mean, 9/11. But Yeah. I didn't know where I was going to go down. I mean, I thought we would get attacked too somehow. Like a plane falling on us or something. I don't know. Yeah. But I was also quite lucky because there's a power plant, a nuclear power plant, like about 2 or 3 towns north of me. Yeah, that they could have hit. And there was a big discussion about that, you know, back and forth for a few years. That everybody was thinking the same thing. They could have done that, but they decided to choose the Twin Towers instead. I mean, hate that they did, but it also saved a lot of other people too in the whole area. Because if they hit that power plant, oh, I wouldn't be here. Neither would have. I don't even know how many people would be here either. Either that or we would be sick. Really sick. Cancer and such. Because of the radiation. So, you know. We're lucky that they didn't. And they chose those 2 buildings instead. I mean, they had 2 planes, so yeah, they could have done a really good amount of damage to that plant. Even if it was, even if it is reinforced and, you know, built quite well. I mean, I don't know. 2 jetliners full of people, full of fuel. Would have done something, you know? Oh, you heated the pipes at least enough to cause it to go in a meltdown. But, you know, we're lucky. You know, unlucky at the same time, you know. But, I mean, I was also scared that they would attack the school, because I also overheard somewhere in that time that they might. So that's why I also got scared, you know. Because nobody knew what they were going to do next, you know. All we heard was another terrorist attack at that time. I mean, it was bad. Real bad. I mean, one of the planes flew freaking past my village. Like I said, they could have hit that power plant if they really wanted to, because they flew by it. You know? Because I talked to a coworker of mine that worked up at my job since 2000, and he said he saw the plane low and flying on the river like that, heading towards the Twin Towers. One of them, at least. The other came from another direction, but that's the point. Yeah, one of them flew right down the river, using it as a guide. Yeah, what's it called? On Flight Simulator, I mean, I tracked it. I'm like, yeah, could have done that. I mean, like I said, could have done worse. They didn't. I mean, hell, opening moment, you know. You know, we went from, you know, whatever, you know, living life in peace because we finally won the Cold War and all any other war is over. You know, we didn't have to worry about much. I mean, other than was that war in the Balkans at one point, but I think that was over by then. So we were just living life, doing our thing. No one bothering us and we weren't bothering anybody else, as far as we knew. And yeah, this happens, and it's like, wow. Now we're stuck in the same war, pretty much. We were then, 18 years later, unfortunately. But I mean, most of that was over. We're just playing police force, from what I've heard. You know, the president say, current president. not mine, but I'm just saying what his official title is, according to the government. Definitely not mine. Definitely not mine. He made the world a lot worse than it was. I mean, hell, even with Bush, we were, what's it called? Still safe, actually. I don't think we've ever had a terrorist attack, even with him in office. Which just shows that he wasn't extremely bad. I mean, he was more of a puppet because of, you know, our vice president at the time, which was Cheney, and stuff has come out now because he owned or had partial ownership or whatever of a few companies that made money off of that shit, so off of the war and all that. So yeah, that was that controversy on that side. But Bush, on the other hand, he was more of a puppet, but he also had a heart. You know, he wasn't extremely bad. He was just more manipulated, which I have an idea of, of how it goes down. You know, my ex, like I said in different, about to say, that's a whole other story for another time, but manipulation, yeah. You don't know what's real, what's not. You ignore people, what they say, then you think, okay, that they're, something, or a friend, this and that, you have to listen to them, blah, 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 and they get into your head. But besides the point, he wasn't all that bad. I mean, we were safe up until, let's just say, 45 got in the office. It's just, all that stuff started, so, I mean, like I said, we were pretty safe after that point. I mean, there was stuff out in the other worlds. I mean, rest of the world. I mean, there was that one attack in, what's it called, up until, a few years ago, in Boston. And like I said, we were safe up until that point. I mean, that was just more of a slip, because not as bad as it's called 9/11, but yeah, we had a slip there. But they immediately got caught, and I don't know what else happened to them, but I know they got caught and tried and locked away, probably executed. But it's called, yeah, that wasn't half as bad because it was more injuries and deaths, which, yeah, traumatizes you, but I mean, it's better than more than a few thousand people dead or missing, because their bodies could never be found. I mean, I think their bodies are still probably hidden somewhere. Everything went everywhere at that time with the buildings collapsing. Yeah, I know they could be pulverized, but they could have also hidden in surrounding buildings, like in their basement somehow, like through broken windows and stuff. I mean, we've done digging through and all that, but maybe, I don't know. All I know is that, numbers say a lot of people missing because their bodies have never been found, or less, probably because the building coming down and pulverizing their bodies, because it was all concrete and such. The building wasn't really designed for a huge jet like those jets that hit it. I mean, the building was flawed, I would say, in design, because it would mostly put the support on the outside to make more room, which at that time, I mean, it could have probably done better, but you know, was innovative at the time, back in the 70s. Whereas they got a ton of office space, because I've done my research on the building, you know, watching videos, reading books about it, this and that. Yeah, plenty of office space because there was no road supports in the building for it. They'll block it. And it had a small core just with the elevators and stairs, which they should have reinforced more. I mean, a lot more people would have survived if the core was a lot stronger. I mean, the core was a lot stronger, yeah. Because that's what did it building in. I mean, people in it anyway, so they could get out. I mean, some were trapped all the way up to pretty much on the floor underneath the roof because they were trying to go out the roof exit because they couldn't go down, so they went up. And those doors were locked, which was a stupid move on their part. Really stupid move on their part. It's like, they should have kept it open. Even, there's nobody to go up there, and what are they gonna do, smoke? You know? So left it open, emergency, you know, even though hot heat and shit. I mean, worst comes to worst, they could have easily put a heli, like, at least 2 or 3 miles up higher than the building. I mean, with all that smoke, I mean, you could have still seen. I mean, I could tell. Smoke was blowing in one way, they could have blown it off. But, I'm not a helicopter pilot, so I don't know. I mean, they could have also had firefighters somehow quickly land on there for 5 seconds and then repel. Help people repel off the side of the building. But yeah, it was sad. Also seeing people jumping. Oh. Yeah, that was bad. I never seen them jumping just on the news, but imagining people seeing that up close. Traumatizing indeed, but yeah. It was bad, and memory of it. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I always say so much because I wasn't really there. I mean, it only took part. I mean, only saw, you know, on the news. I mean, honestly, I could have probably where to go on the bridge at the time, which I was on the automotive traffic, but if I were to have my mom drive me over, I would have been able to see the smoke and shit from there. I mean, the bridge is not far up the river from the site. I mean, I can see on a clear night the George Washington from the bridge. So, yeah. It's, you know, just the whole thing about it. You know, just thinking, you know, past, you know, got into war, and I was gonna probably end up in Iraq if, you know, I really wanted to. I mean, I wasn't overweight at the time, and I still am, but I would have ended up there. Believe me, I had my thoughts of joining the military. Wanted more of the Air Force, but I couldn't So I probably would have ended up either the Marines or the Army. I was also set on avoiding Iraq because I couldn't stand the idea of a war there. I heard and processed through things. It was a complete lie about going in. I mean, granted, we got rid of a frickin' idiot that really didn't care about his people. And, wanted to start shit and help idiots. I mean, yeah, he hated terrorists, but, I mean, besides that, it was also, what's it called? Idiots. He also started the first Gulf War. I'm talking about Saddam Hussein, but besides the point. We shouldn't really have been there, but, I know, manipulated. I think also a little bit of Bush wanted to do that because of his dad, but yeah, besides the point, I probably would ended up there and then back onto what's it called when they need me there, probably onto Afghanistan, which I probably would have wanted to be there because of 9/11. I mean, I've had a few friends that wanted to join the military for that reason. I know one or two have joined the military since and done a few tours or tour or two. It's, sobering, to say the least, that day. One of my best friend owns, what's it called? The one I went to the city with that day with my mom and went to the museum with. He knows a friend or two that lost a parent, I think it was, or a loved one in the attacks. I mean, he lived in what's it called, or the most southern city in the county, which is Yonkers, for his whole life, and also hung out in the Bronx because of his grandparents all the time. So I'm sure he knew a few people that worked down in the Twin Towers. And I feel bad, but it's like, unfortunate day, it sucks, but we built. Had the first World Trade Center called the Freedom Tower. At least keep part of that in the name, But I think One World Trade Center actually fits because, I mean, the original towers were called the World Trade Center Towers or the Twin Towers. They never used Twin Towers as the official name, so I can actually agree with the naming. I know there was that video I played earlier about the controversy around it, but honestly, I like it like that. One World Trade Center, more professional sounding than Freedom Tower. Everybody will be like, Freedom Tower this, Freedom Tower that. I mean, just like they called the Twin Towers the Twin Towers. I mean, they were twins till the end, obviously. One had the, what's it called? As you can see on my picture on the side there, had the antenna on it, which also if you were in my area at the time, yeah, you wouldn't have been able to watch the news for a little while until these news companies switched over to other buildings and other antennas and such. Because that's where all the communications was at that time. Well, almost all. There was Verizon has a building right next to it too. I think that building got knocked offline too at the time. So the news and such went down, blacked out for a little while after the buildings were collapsed and all of that, because the communications lines were cut. So, and the antenna gone. I mean, if you go down to the site, I mean, I don't know what happened to the antenna. I don't think I saw anything left of it. I think most of it got pulverized and destroyed. But the little ornament, the nose in front of the buildings, and the little plaza that they had actually survived. It's on the site, just moved to new location. I mean, they have an underground parking garage as well, but that's highly secure. I mean, there's no way you're getting in there. Yeah. No way, absolutely no way, unless you have access somehow. But I think that requires background checks and everything. I ain't gonna give it to just anybody anymore. So, but besides the point, it's right there on the edge there. I saw it. I think I took a picture of it and take. I don't know, but what's it called? Yeah, I saw that. I'm like, wow. The damage on it was bad. But I saw it was all sorts of dented and yeah. You can definitely tell how much shit in those buildings came down hard. I mean, there we go. Sorry for that. Like I was saying, buildings came down hard enough to trigger seismic activity. Like, enough. What's it called? Geological service, like the sensors for earthquakes and such. Because we have a, what's it called? Active, well, not active, in like dormant fault. Up a little bit further, up north of me, a little bit called a Ramapo fault. And, yeah, that fault is apparently inactive and probably dead for right now, because we had, well, I'm going a little off topic here, but to explain about it, being dead and all that, we've had an earthquake down in Virginia, back in 2011, shook the entire eastern seaboard. I felt it in the house. It was like ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta, and it's shaking the whole house. And I was like, oh shit, yeehaw. Of course, one of my best friends was like, yeah, it's gonna collapse, blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, it's been here for ages. It ain't going anywhere. I was right on that, because I was also in a room with a ton of beams holding up the house. I ain't going nowhere. I mean, that basement, recent room of mine was surrounded by like 1, 2, 3, 4 walls. So I ain't going nowhere. I mean, if I really wanted to, I could hang out in what's it called? One of the doorways. And I would have been fine. House is like built freaking 100 years ago. I was sad. But besides the point. Yeah, so it was enough to trigger the sensors there. So that means it came down with such force. I mean force. Enough to pulverize everything and everything in its way. And also, what's it called, destroyed surrounding buildings like the hotel that was around and a number of others. Yeah, and that plaza, pretty much. And also damaged the Deutsche Bank building too, because it was right across the street. I think that's where, yeah, that's on the site for One World Trade Center. The Deutsche Bank was right there in that area that they demolished because it just wasn't safe, because it had that gigantic hole for about better part of like maybe 5 or so years or more. And because they were also investigating those bodies, they found a few bodies there because flew right in that hole. I also heard that Deutsche Bank also lost about, I think, 2 people, or read about that somewhere. But yeah, so that whole area is redeveloped. I mean, I went down there. I mean, I didn't recognize the area at all, other than the roadway that goes past it. I was like all the way down at the very, very tip, actually, at Barry Park, right across the street. I saw it. I saw the Barry Park, so it's like I was at the very tip of Manhattan Island, southern tip there. And what's it called? Yeah, I didn't recognize it other than that roadway, because they changed it all. Of course, I was also seeing it on TV and all that, so I really didn't know the site. But besides the point, yeah. Seeing all the artifacts and all that. I mean, that fire truck. Oof. You can definitely tell. It was bad when the buildings collapsed. People running like chaos. Oof. And then afterwards, I saw like people walking, leaving their cars because they couldn't get anywhere because of traffic, trying to get out. So people just left everything and just walked. While trying to get out of the city, Nobody wanted to be in the city at the time, because of all the gridlock and stuff because of the attack. I mean, we had a boat here in town that took part of it, hardened it, the recovery efforts and try to get people out of the city, And then, of course, the people not living down by the river. So you have a building down there, the residential and commercial, but mostly residential on the second floor. Floors above, they complained they forced that boat to move. I didn't appreciate it, but it's whatever they want, right? Everyone's paying the majority of our taxes, right? No. The rest of us were paying the fucking same taxes. But whatever. It's whatever they want, right? So that's the point. But, yeah. You still see elements of 9/11 scattered all over. I also follow a ship built with the metal from there called the USS New York. And they're doing pretty well. The ship is doing really well. Well built, that's for sure. Got the soul of 9/11 in it. and just like, wow. And just thinking about it, you know, going back all those 18 years. I mean, the world was different then. I could definitely tell. Because at that time, we didn't really have anything other than dial-up for computer internet. And also, what's it called? Have primitive computers at the time. I mean, they were okay. I mean, they got faster and faster. At that point in time, they were pretty quick. It's still not half as quick as we have it now. We're still in a single core world for technology wise. As for, you know, normal other technology, we still had regular landlines. Cell phones weren't until many years later. I mean, we had cell phones, but they were expensive. And they were primitive. They weren't smartphones. Like what we have now. We have Android, we have iOS, we have this, we have that, we have Qualcomm, we have Nvidia, we have this and that. Now, it was either Nokia or Motorola or yeah, either one of those. Really. We had a handful of providers. We had T-Mobile. We had T-Mobile at the time, I think. I know we had AT&T. They were one of the bigger. Our first few. AT&T, and because they did I think spin off Singular, and then they reacquired them. I don't know, but what's it called? Yeah, then we had Sprint. We had Nokia, not Nokia, Sprint and Nextel. There we go, Nextel. The walkie-talkie phones. I remember those in those days too. Like I said, the whole world was different then. I mean, so that attack was very well broadcasted, but not if it was today. I mean, it'd be worse today because you had social media now. I mean, at that time, I think MySpace came out like maybe 2 or 3 years later. Yeah, I didn't really have much of the way of social media like we have now, but and like, you know, smartphones to take pictures of. I mean, we had camcorders. That's why we have it all over the news and such. You know, images of the building collapsing and all that, because you know, it happened near what's it called? You know, places where, I mean, companies that do, you know, journalism and all that, you know, news companies, there you go, in that area. So, I mean, they were down there. What's it called? I know my local one, News 12 Westchester, one of the, what's it called? Guys, the, what's it called? Anchors or whatever it was, whatever the title is, but he lived in the city in Connie Bear. He was also a what's it called? Worked with the governor on the bridge project as a what's it called? The news guy, you know, news PR guy. But besides the point, he was down there first because he lived down there, so he grabbed the freaking camera or whatever and ran down there. Yeah, so yeah, that local news element down there in the city. So and then local news element down there, and took all checking things out. You know, broadcasting what happened, all that. I mean, but we also had the city stations doing it, and we also had the national ones like CNN and Fox and MSNBC, which I think they started in 2000 somewhere. I think one or two, but I know because what's it called? They were allied with Microsoft. So that's the point. Yeah, they were all down there broadcasting this and that about it. I mean, I heard about it. I mean, I was also looking back. I'm like, I remember, I think specifically the very first, very first attack on the Trade Center back in 91. But I could be wrong. I think I remember it, but I don't think I do, because I was young at that time. I was like way less than 3. 93, I went to Portugal with my mom, and I was 3. So, or 4, no, I was like 4 then, so 92 maybe? I don't know. I know I was young. But I specifically remember it was another terrorist attack. I think they about the USS Cole. I think it was. I'm like, here we go again. At that, also, oh boy, yeah, about the news and all that. I mean, we were attacked, you know, at home since Pearl Harbor, really, by, you know, idiots from another country. I mean, the only thing we got attacked by was idiot or random nutcases from inside this country, American citizens. One in Oklahoma, that was done by American citizens. Completely done by an American citizen. What's it called? I had to get a Ryder truck full of freaking TNT and blow that fucking building up. That was bad. I don't know how the hell he managed to get his hands on TNT, but at that time we didn't really give a shit until 9/11. Now there's, you have to go through these, what's it called? Hula hoops of background checks and checks for this and that, and blood test, mental test, leg test, arm test, chest test, whatever test you want. They'll put you through just to, you know, make sure you're not the one that, or some stupid reason, you know. But back then you could easily get it for, you know, underground from talking to these hate groups and shit. Hey, I'm sure they still have that stuff hidden. They haven't used it because they know if they were to, they will get caught. Because people like to snoop nowadays and sniff, and if they sniff something that they don't like, what's it called? They'll call the cops, and yeah, a whole big deal about it. And if you were doing something stupid, you would go to jail. No questions asked. Yeah. Yeah. Just want to rant because what's it called? Sharing my feelings, my thoughts, and this and that about 9/11. forgot to check my titles and such. There we go. I'm gonna refresh. Yeah, I'm ranting on and on and on about 9/11, you know. Just my thoughts and memories and this and that about it. I mean, not much. Oh, once every year, you know, to do this. Yeah, just a day to, you know, remember this or that. I mean, I didn't do a thing because I was already late. I mean, I had starting back like around 8:30. I would have done the whole 9 yards of moment of silence because it starts up at 8:46. When the first tower was attacked, and then one at I think 9 when the second building was attacked, and then another 2 when the towers collapsed. Each of the towers collapsed. The first one was South Tower and the North Tower. This is the way the South Tower was hit. It was hit on a corner, which destabilized that building completely. It was amazing that that building didn't completely collapse right on impact. It just shows that they still had some strength to them, even though some of it was sheared off by the impact. So, you know, the North Tower survived a lot longer because it was hit straight in, meaning a lot, and I mean a lot, of the structural integrity was still there. Just the heat of the fire inside just weakened the structure inside, just like, yeah, collapsed inward compared to the South Tower, which, since it was hit on the corner, yeah, took that corner out, and the rest of the heat pretty much doomed it in pretty quick. And it just collapsed right on that, not long after impact. Just sad. I mean, people in it, you know. Ugh. Yeah. It's sad, but and I like to think that gotten better since then. No, we really didn't. Yeah. In some elements we did. I mean, our lines are safest as can be these days, even with the TSA being stupid. I mean, for the most part, they actually do their jobs and filter out stuff that could lead to another 9/11. But then the rest of it was also them just being careless or something like that. I don't know, but I mean, I haven't been on an airplane since years ago. What's it called? When I went to Portugal when I was little. So I haven't really been through TSA. But I've heard stuff about it. Because I know people and I've been through TSA and all that. So, yeah, in some parts we did got better, and in other parts we got worse. But, I mean, we rebuilt. That's a good thing about it. And the One World Trade Center is up. I mean, stronger than what ever was. I mean, like that video earlier said, it's built with a concrete core that's the strongest concrete that we've ever had. So it'll take a freaking, what's it called? Not even a 47, no, freaking Airbus A380 and still survive. You know? The only thing, I mean, that would probably hurt that building. Something was way worse, but I'm not gonna say because I don't need to tell anybody how to hurt that building. I don't want it. You know, I'd be wanting to kill the motherfucker that did that. If he isn't already dead. And if he is, the family wants to start shit, I'll kill them all too. Maybe. So I don't stand for that stuff. I wanted to kill the motherfucker that did this on 9/11. I really did. I mean, fucking sand nigger, and I hate to use that freaking term. You know, I'm not racist, but he is that. Freaking Osama bin Laden, yeah. He is that freaking idiot for doing this, you know. Why? I don't know. I mean, kind of starting to get why he wanted it, because learning from our side of things, the Christian nutcases that follow the current president, I can see why. Because they, you know, something in their heads don't click, and what's it called? Education wasn't all that bit good there, so people just follow blindly, so they don't know better. You know, it's been what's it called? The parents didn't know better, so they raised the kids not to know better, and etc. etc. So it's like, yeah, it's bad. Because now we're dealing with what they deal with over there. You know, with all these fucking nutcases running around wanting to kill people. Because, you know, not that kind, etc, etc. You know, they're jealous and this and that, etc, etc. Yeah, I mean, I've been spawned a lot, but also we were also spawned a lot of good things too, and people helping each other, you know, pay it forward and all that came from there, I think. You know, whole country united at that point, and the world too. I mean, I know what's it called. A few European countries were like coming forward, you know, saying, "Oh, we're sorry for your loss." You know, more personally than that, actually. You know, they were standing with us on it. And yeah, a lot of them wanted to call us idiots too. I mean, they felt that it was called for, you know, uncalled for, and wanted to go after the idiots that did that. I mean, for the most part, we got rid of them. You know, Russia's dealing with them now, I'm sure, over Syria, because from what I heard, same group, Al-Qaeda, is involved in that little war that they got going on there. And I'm thinking Russia's probably going to end up dealing with that soon. I know, what's it called, they were dealing with the freaking terror groups within country. I mean, they have a republic or group or whatever it is, because it was used to be the USSR, or the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. So one of the former Soviet groups, you know, still there, still wanting to do harm because they don't like them. Never did, never will. You know, starting shit, they've done that over years and years and years and years. Still shit going on in that area, which we should stay just away from. I mean, granted, they attacked one of our allies, Ukraine, but no we can do, because Russia, unfortunately, is our ally too. Yeah, way back when, back when they were actually the USSR, we were still allies with them somehow. And even in the Cold War, we were still allies. Which makes no sense, but I mean, yeah, literally, because it's the UN. When we made the UN, we were allies with them. Yeah, they're in the Security Council, which is pretty much the leaders of it, like the ones that really make the final decision or say if we're going to war or something. We also have China, that was added way later, but besides the point. Yeah, we're allies with them, and yeah, we should not put them in, but thing is, we were also in the middle of World War II, and we're unfortunately allies with them because the Germans were attacking them too, so we needed them as much as they needed us. Yeah, funny how that works out. But besides the point, yeah. So the whole world's still fucked up from World War II. If you think about it. Because even though we're allies with Russia, we can't exactly not be allies with them because of World War II. Boggles my mind that over 80, I think it was, about like 80 something years since World War II. Or at least since the end of it. Yeah, since the end of that. In 1945, yeah, we're still messed up somehow. I mean, briefly during the 90s, we were actually very, 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 very good allies with them. I mean, president that took over after the last Soviet idiot left. Well, he was an idiot. Soviet president left. I mean, he actually did well. I mean, he meant well. He took apart the Union, because it was already done for. A lot of these republics didn't want to be part of it anymore. You know, they were going bankrupt because, you know, we forced them into that. Besides the point, you know, they didn't want to be in it anymore. They wanted out. They wanted their own country. Period. So yeah, took it apart. You know, one of them tore down the Berlin Wall because, you know, pressure from outside to want to get rid of them, but pressure inside the countries as well. So it's like, yeah, things are different, but they're also the same. But I mean, world moves forward. Time goes on. We rebuilt after every major thing, and this is no different. But yeah, we still remember, and as that quote says, "No day shall erase you from the memory of time." It is true. I mean, that was all notes left by families of the loved ones that were lost. I mean, it's sad, but like I said, we move on. You know, honestly, I think it's good for us to finally officially move on, because there's nothing left of it. I mean, artifacts and such, but all the rubble and all that cleaned up, moved out, recycled, I think. Sites cleaned up, all that situated already. Museums open. You know, there's really nothing left of the disaster and the memories and the artifacts, you know? And the museum and such. It's the only thing that still remains. Yeah. But besides the point, yeah. I'm gonna cut the stream here and just hang out. I mean, this was a special stream dedicated to just, you know, ranting about stuff. I mean, I'll come back later tonight and play some games, you know? Enjoy the day, you know? Just wanted to rant on and on and on about stuff. Maybe somebody feels the same way I do, you know? I don't know, but all I know is that I like to rant about stuff like this. You know, maybe somebody feels the same way and wants to chat with me about things. Things and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. It was a nasty day then. Gotten better since then. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later tonight, 11 p.m. I might come in later this afternoon, maybe. I don't know. It's already 1:30, well, 1:22 Eastern. So I might not. I don't know. We'll see. But if I don't, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace. And what's it called? Peace and freedom forever. Bye.